welcome viewers to the AD Claude podcast series with Social Impact Founders, an initiative by the Ashank Desai Center for Leadership and Organizational Development at IIM Ahmedabad. In this podcast, we document and celebrate the leadership journeys of India's homegrown social entrepreneurs who have built impactful institutions from the ground up. In today's episode, we have the privilege of speaking with Chetna Gala Sinha, social activist, rural development leader, and one of India's most remarkable grassroots entrepreneurs. Chetna founded Mandesh Mahila Sahakari Bank in 1997, the first bank in India licensed to operate for and by rural women, and has since built the Mandeshi Foundation into a nationally celebrated institution empowering women entrepreneurs in drought-prone, semi-arid rural Maharashtra, maybe the most difficult area for her to work on. Growing up with the deep commitment to social justice, Chetna has worked at the intersection of rural finance, women's livelihoods, education and sports. Mandeshi Foundation has reached over 5 lakh women across Maharashtra through its banking, business school, mobile business school, radio station and sports programs. Chetna Gala is awarded by the Nari Shakti Puraskar, India's highest civilian award for women who work in the area of women's empowerment, and received the Forbes India Leadership Award for being an entrepreneur with social impact. Chetna Gala Sinha, welcome. We are very, very happy to have you for this podcast. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to have you here. Words can't describe how happy we are that we have us speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Niharika. And thanks for inviting me for this podcast. And I do this institution which has a special program in the memory of someone. So thanks for inviting me, and I'll be delighted to share my experiences or share my journey with some very wise leaders, and I've learned so much from these women. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Chetna, could you give us a picture of what Mandeshi looks like today? Its scale, the range of issues it addresses, the geographies it operates in, and the nature of its membership and workforce.
Thank you, Niharika. Thank you for inviting me to Ashank Desai Center in this podcast series. And I'm delighted to share my journey, particularly with these women for last 3 decades and the lessons I've learned from them. Today, Mandeshi Foundation is there and Mandeshi Bank is there. Mandeshi Foundation does work with women in financial inclusion, women and sports, women and health, girls and sports, and with farmers and women farmers, where we work with soil. And so it's a sort of a Mandeshi, started with entrepreneurship program, but now it is women and community organization. Mandeshi Foundation operates in Maharashtra, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh. In all these 3 states, particularly in Maharashtra, we operate on nearly 22 locations. Mandeshi Bank operates in state of Maharashtra, which provides actually not only just access to finance, but control on finance, so saving, credit, and it's a cooperative bank. So the model is that Mandeshi Bank takes care of financial inclusion and financial control and access to finance, and Mandeshi Foundation builds the capabilities, and also creates the network where women can actually own the assets, form the companies, own the brand. And I'm proud to share with you that while operating in all these 3 states, Mandeshi Bank and Foundation has celebrated last year, impacted 1 million women entrepreneurs who have created 5 million jobs, and not only just in entrepreneurship, but when our women farmers have started one of the India's very different, unique program, I would say, which we do not want to remain unique, but it should go everywhere. How our women farmers are working on that, how can we enrich soil and enrich our soil with water and less abuse of fertilizers and pesticides. So we have agriculture center, We have water testing center for farmers, and Mandeshi provides the doorstep services. So it's not like what I mean to say is that because in the villages of India, these are fragmented. So the whole approach of Mandeshi is to go to people through bank sakhis, soil sakhis, health sakhis, digital DDs. So go to people and collectively design the products in such a way that it enriches their life, increase their income, but not just increase the income, but also retain the native intelligence and design collectively with their intelligence and the new, with the technology and science, the solutions which will help them to not only improve their lives, but also conserve the ecology which they want.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so many of your women that work with you are also from the community. So what proportion from the communities, and what are professionally trained people in the organization?
So the organization has a Mandeshi Foundation, as I mentioned, right? Like all these are all or more. 100% women are from the community. The reason is that because we are not based in metro cities. Our main office also is in not even a taluka place. We have everything foundation runs radio, we have bank, but we are not even block headquarter. It's a big village, you can say. So anyway, nobody is from Mumbai, nobody is going to come and shift here and work. All our staff comes from the local community and they are trained. But Mandeshi Bank has the team of 80 people, and foundation has more than 460 team members. So overall, we have around 540 team members, including community leaders, founders of farmer producer companies and all. And we are operating in nearly 800 villages.
Wow. That's such an amazing spread with the work that you do. So it would be very interesting for our audience to get a sense of your journey in setting up the Mandeshi Foundation and the Mandeshi as is today, from the work that you started with the Rural Bank, and then further on, how you've branched out into pretty much everything that really makes women ready to take charge of their own lives.
So Niharika, it's very interesting. When you're asking the question, I was just thinking 35 years back, I had never thought that I will be sitting here in Maswar doing a Zoom call with you. Born and raised in Mumbai, and at that time it was Bombay. So I actually was born and raised in Mumbai, and I was always very much a Mumbai girl. Like in Mumbai, you are with the cricket, Bollywood, all those, your life is on the local trains and you're so busy every day. And all. In that, when I was doing my undergraduate program, I had not even graduated. I had entered in college but was very active with the student activity also. And at that time, Jayaprakash Narayan and my Niharika, you are in Gujarat.
Yes.
How JP movement actually started from there, right? So Jayaprakash Narayan came to Mumbai University, and he was appealing young students that, India to Bharat mein rehta hai. Work with people, and we were talking about this total revolution and all, which Jayaprakash Narayan used to say, you should work in the villages of India. And I was very much fascinated with this idea of working in villages. So I told Jayaprakash Narayan that, I would really like to work in the villages of India. So he said, of course we have an organization. Then you go to the villages. And I was not even, 21. And I got an opportunity to travel countryside of India, all over India, like Bihar, Northeast. And it was, working with the youths, because organization was there everywhere. And so I was very I kept on thinking in my mind, that I was doing my graduation, looking forward to do post-graduation, which I did from Mumbai University only in economics. But while traveling, I did realize that I had learned a lot. And then I wanted to maybe work in the villages. I hadn't come to the decision. And there was one time when, I came in a very drought-prone area of Maharashtra, in state of Maharashtra, this place called Maswat, actually where I'm sitting now. The movement was going on here for the increase of wage. And now we have this Manrega, but but at that time Maharashtra had employment guarantee scheme. People were working on, because there was such a bad drought and there was no jobs, not only jobs, there were no crop in the field, no water, and men had migrated. So women were asking for the work so that, they can survive. And I saw that the work which was given to them was of construction of the road and breaking stones. And I had came there in that area in month of May. It was nearly 48 degrees Celsius. And it was so hot. And I saw women breaking stone in that heat. And some of them with their, toddlers, feeding them, then again going for the work. And when I saw that, I just couldn't fathom it. Like, how can you do this? This is a work which you are given in the imprisonment of life imprisonment, then you have to give this up, right? I said, this is not what human beings should be doing, this work. That actually was the thing which stayed with me. And on that day, of course, I stayed there for nearly 8 days. But I decided that I want to work with these women, and I don't know how we will be able to change their lives, but maybe we'll find some solutions and all. So I started thinking. And anyway, this whole organizing the laborers and all, Vijay Sinha, my husband, so I fell in love with him. I felt like he's taken up such a noble cause. And so then we decided to marry. And then after doing 1 year of job in economics in Mumbai, teaching, I left that and shifted to Maswat. And then started working. And it was very interesting. At that young age, every day you get up with the energy, right? And you would say something will come up. And I would be very ready. Having a Mumbai life, you are ready in the morning, you plan your day and you want to start, right? In that way. So, we didn't have any resources, everything we used to do on bicycle, go from one village to another village and all that. And whenever I would meet women and talk to them, I saw one thing in these women. One is that they would tell me that, you are so young, you should go back, study, have lunch with us, but you go back to your city. Why would you stay here? This is our destiny. We will take care of our life. That is one. But I said, no, I have decided that I'll be staying here. So then I realized that these women will come in a different, they will never say that, hamare paas ye nahi hai, humko ye chahiye, we need that. But they will talk about that opportunities. There were no connectivity, there were no electricity connectivity, no water. These women have never been to the school. But there was so much of... So many women would come and they would say what, we are doing our business on the street, but we want to have a shed. So I say so what you want to do? So say, for that we want to do savings. We want to save. So once we save, then we can buy a very big umbrella, or we can have a talpatri, sheet. Correct. That thick cotton sheet. And then shelter, because we don't have a house to stay also. We do our business there and then we sleep at night, we cook there. And so for that, we want to do savings. So I was like, if you want to do savings, you should go to the banks. And then he said that, but we went to the banks, but banks didn't open the account. So I said, okay, I'm coming with you. So I went with them to the bank and said, you should open their account. They want to save. And bank manager said, they want to save 3 rupees a day. First is this is not an affordable thing for me, that bank account. And second is, who is going to go to them to daily for 3 rupees? So then I said, but they are not asking you loan. They are not asking anything. Not asking any subsidy or anything. They want to do savings. So then when banks denied that, I told our women that maybe let's go to Central Bank, go to Reserve Bank of India, and then we'll talk to them and we'll apply for the banking license. So I went to Mumbai and I went to the Reserve Bank of India and I narrated this, that, our women, we wanted to start a bank because this is happening. So we want to start the bank, or you tell the banks to do that. Open the accounts, give that services. And fortunately, actually, at that time, there was a window open for getting the licenses for cooperative banks for women and youth and tribals. Okay. But there was a Marathi committee report which suggested that, which was, of course, that committee was incepted by Reserve Bank of India to find out that how can we, women and tribals and youth are excluded from the banking system. So how can we bring in them in the banking system? So then there was a suggestion which RBI implemented that you give the licenses to, as a cooperative bank, to women, tribals. So they said that there is a window open where you can apply for the banking license and you try. It was like, okay, I got all the information. I did study how to apply, how to make proposal. I directly asked Reserve Bank of India officers only that, I'm not going to hire. I never had any idea that there are some professionals who are going to prepare the proposal and all. So I came back, I talked to women that will apply, and we sat together and prepared a proposal and said we'll apply for the banking license. They have promoting members, whatever parameters were there, like this much of capital, this many members, which we complied with. And then I went again to Reserve Bank of India to submit the proposal. Now, while submitting the proposal, the officer said that, we cannot issue a license, or I cannot take your proposal also, denied taking it, that all your promoting members are non-literate. And we cannot, in a history, it has happened something like this. So we cannot do that. So I was nervous. I came back and I said, I have no solution for that now. And I came back. But I came back and I told our women that I was so nervous, and I told that we cannot get the license, or even proposal is not been submitted because our women are non-literate. So they were like, why are you so nervous? We will learn to read and write. So what? And then our literacy classes started. And there were women who were like in local grassroots who were actually going on this site to work. They were like, we will go to different villages and start the literacy classes. So we started that. I wasn't sure, what will happen. Are we going to get the license and not go to Baad? It was quite far. But I thought, at least in that motivation, if they are learning to read and write, no harm in doing that, right? So then we started our literacy classes from village to village, and we used to go on bicycle with P. Rukhsana will be there to one village, another village. After 5 months, we applied again. But at that time, I didn't go alone because I thought we may not get license. So let women face the no. So with me, 15 women accompanied to Reserve Bank of India.
Okay.
And I'll show you the picture also. So of those 15 women, yeah. So then these women, when we went to the Reserve Bank of India, and then I wasn't sure what our women are going to do. But they said that, they told the officer that you denied the license because we cannot read and write. But when we were growing, there were no schools in our villages. So we are not responsible for our non-literacy. And they said that, we cannot read and write, but we can count. For me, that was a very powerful statement by them and a good lesson for me. That we cannot read and write, but we can count. And they said that ask us to calculate the interest of any principal amount. If we fail, don't issue the license. But tell your officers to do it without calculator, calculate the principal amount and see who can calculate faster.
Wow.
So that was and so these were the women.
Wow.
Who came to the Reserve Bank of India first time.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll also request a copy of this at some point.
Yes.
This is beautiful. Yeah.
So then we came back. We were not sure, but we thought we had a great meeting. Now, whatever they decide, they decide. I did not want to give any hope to women because you never know who you are going to get it. But after 5 months, and there were no, there were telephone lines were there, but to do the call to Mumbai, we used to do the trunk call, right?
Correct.
So at that trunk call, before this whole PCOs and all this started, it was still department used to do the trunk call.
Correct.
So after 5 months, I get a message from postal department, and postal officer called me and he said that, from last 2 days, we are getting call from Reserve Bank of India and they want to talk to you.
Wow.
Okay. And then said they gave that there is an afternoon time at 2 p.m. We'll tell them that to call and you come at 2 p.m. and talk to them. And I went there, and when I was talking, I got a phone call from Reserve Bank of India. Mr. Parmar was there. He said that, Mrs. Sinha, you didn't even turn up or you didn't inquire anything. about the license, but we have dispatched the license. And they said that you didn't come. This is the first bank with whom we are dispatching the license, and you will get the license by post, and we have send you the compendium. So read that and operate the bank accordingly. So it was so surprising. So we got the license, and in 1997, bank started. Mission was also in the same year, 96 we had started. It was, so that's how we got the banking license. It was interesting that, women, and of course you can, like, if you have further question to it took that whole journey was very much like with women in the formation of the bank. So women were like, yes, we have set up the bank. See, we were and they were telling me that we were saying that, of course, why not? We cannot read and write, but we can count and we can manage finance. Yeah, that's how we got the banking license.
Wow, that's such an amazing story. And also, in a way, so good on RBI as well, that officer who, in fact, did the right thing. And the women who had so much confidence, and then you for stewarding that entire thing. So great story, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, and also, like, after that, we never even went to inquire or anything.
Correct. We just did it. Yeah, very nice. So today, with that starting of that banking finance, and you currently sit at the intersection of multiple things: rural finance, women's enterprise, education, sport. And for a lot of that, you possibly also depend on donors, government, banking regulator. And I'm sure they've all pulled you in different directions, and sometimes there have been issues with all of them. So would really like to hear, how have you managed them, and what have been some of the key issues, and are there some insights for our listeners?
Sure. So, when we got the banking license, it was very interesting that I came from a urban area. I had the mindset, what you have learned in the books, right? And
Yes.
what you see in the big city, how banks are operating and all that.
Correct.
I was like excited that we will set up something like that.
Yes.
Something like that, right? In that way. And I had some frame in my mind, which I had seen in Mumbai, that
Sure.
bank operate this way. And it was, and on the other side, women were thinking of the bank in a very different way, which I realized much later. That they were thinking this is where we will save our money. In their mindset, it was more about, savings and savings. How do we keep our money safe and secure? Right? That was the whole thing. So when we set up the bank, we were like, when we got the license and then we were inaugurating the bank, one is that you get very different challenges. So first, when we got the license and we were just looking for the place and all, nobody believed in us. Nobody thought, like, how can you get the banking license? There are so many MPs and all, they are trying so much, but they didn't get. So nobody believed. And when we were looking for the place for, office and all that, nobody was ready to give us the rented place. Like, because you are telling you have got the bank license. What do you mean? And how will you give the rent? How will you operate? That way. And when we were exploring the place, women were so smart. I mean, when we were saying, like, I used to say that, okay, we'll have a place in the middle of the market. So that it was easy. But then women said, yes, we should have in the middle of the market, but there should be doors from the backside also. And I was like, what? Why does you want two doors? There is like so much of safety, security, you buy locker. They said, no, there should be two doors. One in the middle of the market and one from the backside. And then they said that, that when we are coming in the bank to save, people look at us and they will share these things that, with our family members and husbands. See, your wife had come to the bank and she has started saving somewhere. They said, we don't want, why we wanted bank also? Because we wanted to keep it at a safer place. So it's not abused by our family members, particularly at that time to drinking and liquor, which has reduced, but was so much. Then I realized that, they are not thinking bank as a service, thinking this as an institution which will provide them control on finance. So everything is not access for them, it is control. So then we decided, okay, let's have that type of a place which will have two doors. Then I realized that even while designing the product, it happened that way. that when we were designing the saving product, I felt, I'm sharing that how even with your so much of knowledge and graduation and all that, the practical wisdom which you lack can mess with them.
Yes.
Your education also, right? So I was thinking like, these women will not have enough money. They will have a very small amount with regular savings. We cannot go to them every day. So we designed the one product, saving product, having a box which has a Mickey Mouse on it. And I have the pictures. We can share those pictures later. They will save, and when the box will get full, we can transfer that money into their account. So we ordered 7,000 boxes in the very beginning days to distribute it to all our women. And we said that, you can save in this box, and then when box get full, the amount can be transferred. So after, I think 15, 20 days, one woman came with she was very angry, and she came to me and she came with a broken box. And she said, whose stupid idea was this? Because this type of boxes. And I was very hesitantly, I said, man, why? What happened? And she said, you know what? Before you come, when the box gets full, your person representative come and transfer our money to our account in the bank. My husband broke the box, took away all the money and have used it. Now, who is responsible for that? At that time, I realized that that I cannot mess with their lives. It is very important to design these products. Either it is saving, or it is credit, or it is pension. That how that product and processes should be. When I say processes, what I mean is that do they want doorstep banking? They say that, we cannot come to the bank. So then bank decided that bank will come to you. So all that has to be discussed. So we formed a team of some community leader. So anytime we launch any new product or something, we talk to them that will this work? How? Because and I did realize that our whole effort is that they should have control on their assets, finance. And if this institution, if we design the product which is not going to give them that does not make sense. So now I'm proud to share with you that it's of course more than now nearly, we have not reached 30 years, but nearly 30 years journey. And now this bank is the first bank which had a overdraft facilities for weekly market street vendors, where they can take overdraft facility or cash credit whenever they want money. Because it was more like, providing doorstep banking and everything. Many times we fail to understand that the people in the villages, in the rural India, at the grassroots, they have very fragmented life. Their houses are far, their cash flows are not regular. Any disaster can come at any time. Rising heat can make their family brings an emergency. So you never know what they do. So everything has to be in ease. If they want to withdraw, that has to be provided doorstep. So we have our agents who are moving in with the saving facility, with the credit facility, and we had and simultaneously now I'm coming that it was women would come to the bank and they would say, this is all great, but we want to increase our income. We are staying in villages. And how do we do that? We want to manage our finance. And how do we, many women would say, I'm selling vegetables. Scale my business. How do I do that? So then I to first say that, bank can provide you savings, credit, all that. But we can provide you bigger loan also. What else can we do? They said, no, you find some solutions. Then we, why not start a business school for rural women where they can understand. And so we talked we said we'll design a Deshi MBA program. They have not gone to the school. So with the pictures, now of course we have a lot of films and all that which they can play. And then we designed the curriculum. Systematically, if I'm raising 2 goats and if I want to scale that business, or I don't want to scale that business, but I want to start some additional business. Because it's not easy you can have a goat farm, but you can have goats and then you grow vegetables also. Then rest of your vegetables can go to the goats. And so you have a multiple level businesses, right? Multiple types of businesses. Started a Deshi MBA program where women can enroll in that program. They will be mentored for 1 full year and they can think of how do I scale my business? How do I get a bigger loan? How do I manage? Also in Rishi MBA and actually Niharika, we have now we have like microcredit had been so successful. But microcredit had its own other fallouts also, right? There was over debt and all that. It also helped to our women. And while designing, it's very, I am blessed, I would say that, we had these, wherever our offices are, we make sure that women can come in and tell that, this has happened. And when you're going to doorstep also, if you go to their doorstep, they will tell you, where are you failing? Where are you doing it, right? So once it happened that, I'm talking that how we had to upgrade our business school, think very differently. One woman, Saraswati, she was doing business of selling vegetables and snacks and everything. And she bought Tempo. She wanted to scale the business. But with all easily available loan from multiple level, she got into debt and her husband ran away. And she had taken loan from Mandeshi also. So she came to the bank saying that, I have defaulted the loan and I won't be able to pay the installment because my husband is gone. I don't know where he has gone and I have 2 children. I cannot run away. And our recovery officers were like so mad. No, we don't want to listen to anything. We cannot have NPA. And so you have to repay. I was like, wait. She has come to our doorstep telling that, I'm going to default. You are lucky that she's not. So you just understand her problem. Then we heard her and we said, and then she said that I am finding, I don't know, help me to resolve this problem. So then we thought that, one woman, of course, we found out that how many lenders you have, bring those lenders together, negotiate. How much can you, sacrifice the amount, sacrifice the interest, how much she can pay or renew the loan. Those are practical solutions. Yeah. But this time we thought that it is so important in our financial literacy, in our Rishi MBA, we should have a debt counseling. These are first generation entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And we have so many laws and everything for the rich people when they default, how they can come out of it, right?
Correct.
So this debt trap. So then we thought, so we kept on building that. And so we have business school, then we have chambers of commerce, and that's how we built this. And it was going on well. But again, I would say that, when people are in the villages and they are so much with all these issues of, we are talking about climate change and all, but the impact of climate change, if anyone is having, is more those people, those who are working on the streets or on the farms. Those who are in open, right? Either as a farm laborer or as a farmer or as a street when selling things on the doorstep. So we had a very bad drought in 2012 and there was no water available. And we could see lot of women were coming to the bank and mortgaging their gold. So one of the lady, Kerabai, she came to bank to mortgage the gold. And I was regular bank customer. So I was asking Kerabai. And again, Kerabai, name. So, which I had never heard. So I said, she said, my name is Kerabai and I've come for mortgaging the gold. And I said, why? And she said, don't you realize there is such a bad drought? There is no fodder, no water available for my farm animals. If I sell off my animals, that is the last thing which keeps me in the village. If I sell off my animal, my land is not, because of no rain, there is no crop. So then I end up in the slums of big cities.
Correct.
So I have no choice. So if I want my animals to survive, I'm mortgaging gold to buy a fodder for my animal. And she questions me, Kerabai, that I can mortgage gold and buy fodder, but even if I mortgage gold, I won't be able to buy water. So that made me, so there were 2 things, right? Mortgaging gold for water. Her name is Kerabai. So I asked Kerabai, how is it? I've never heard that name. So she said, yes, Kera means kachra. I am the daughter of my father. I was married to a person who already had one wife. So on one side, you have this type of life. And then on the other side, you are talking about, there's so much of wisdom that if we leave this area, with whom are you going to do bank? So as a banker, side of me was questioning me and telling me that you go and tell that we have to be We want to be focused. Has balance sheet has to grow and all that. The other side of me was like, we have started bank for whom? Is it for balance sheet or for people? Then anyway, we decided that we should do something, but bank cannot do it. So then foundation started a cattle camp. I'm proud to share with you that when we started a cattle camp, where farmers can bring their cattle, feed them fodder and water, and cattle will survive. So within 8 days, we got 7,000 farmers coming at one place with 14,000 animals. Unfortunately, that year it didn't rain. So we had to continue the cattle camp for 1 year. Government also started supporting us. But at that time, we realized foundation was running the cattle camp. We were getting support from the philanthropic organization and all. But we realized if we want to run this bank with these women farmers, with farmers, we have to address those issues. We cannot say that, that is bank's job. So foundation decided to work on water. We decided that all the rivers in these areas which are dried, so why don't we create a water banks on the river with experts? We designed and we constructed these water banks so that water can be conserved. And so then that's how we started working on that. Also, foundation has this, and now foundation has the agriculture center. But when you work with farmers, and when you work with not only like human lives, but farmers are not working only with their own family. Like families, as Kirabai said, that in my family, my animals are also part of my family.
My family.
My trees are also part of my family. So the approach is very different. And this cattle camp changed all my team to think very differently. Harika, I will share with you like some lessons I've learned while managing the cattle camp. And all of my team was very much learning everything new thing. So because it was supported by government, there were so many animals. So you have to register everything. There has to be photo ID. You have to prove that you are a farmer because you are getting all data has to be captured. So one lady, Parvati, she came with her 5 animals, and because of in May, she started from her home at 5 o'clock and she reached the cattle camp at 10 o'clock. So she had got 5 hours in that temperature, and her animals were really thirsty. So when she entered the cattle camp, there was a process you have to give your whatever Satara Uttara papers, whatever ID, enter the name. Then we put it into data, then we issue a card, then you take that card, then you go, then we assign the place and all that. So when that process was going on, Parvati said that, or do all this later, but let me feed my animal water first. Yes. And our manager who was sitting there, she said, no, then afterwards you will not give us paper, and then where we will search you, there are so many farmers. She said, no, I will give you, but why don't you feed? And my husband Vijay was sitting there and he was like, can't you understand? She's telling, let me feed my animal water. Why are we running? So then she started feeding the water. They allowed that, okay, give papers later. While feeding the water, you know what she said? She said, Are you are asking me with the papers and all, which I will give you, but you don't know when, we have fed, these animals have given milk to our whole country. And when for milking them, when milking are my buffaloes and all, she doesn't ask me photo ID.
Wow.
Doesn't ask me. She feels like, yes, I have to give milk. And that's how our children have been fed with milk. So I realized that the wisdom, the native intelligence which is coming from them is so important, which we just fail to understand.
Correct.
So that's how our whole agriculture program are now designed and all, to see it more as a sort of, even if you're working with soil sakis, we have see soil as a live thing, that what have we done with the soil? But we have failed to give the solutions. Now, why don't we give them power and science and technology, and they will decide, they will enrich the soil. So we started the Soil Sakhi program, Agriculture and Water Center, where this testing can be done, which foundation operates. And it's very interesting when you work with the community. The community has a lot of talent, right? We don't know. I mean, we think that talent is going to come from the school, from the labs, from all these high-tech things, which is, of course, I don't deny that. But at the same time, there is a talent just because the way you are living your life. So we have a very big, this whole area is of nomadic tribes, nomadic communities. So they rear sheep and goat. And there are so many young girls, young kids who rear sheep and goat from when they are very small. They go to school, but they have to do this work. It is part of their job. Right? And then, but while doing that, they gather that strength in their legs. We realize that our kids who are, and it was very interesting. On one side you have that, on the other side you have that there are so many challenges, particularly for girls, that they are going to school, but now schools are there, but high schools are in bigger town. So to high schools, transport facility is not there. So in 2005, one girl came. Her name was also Parvati, this girl. And she said that, I have completed my 7th standard. I want to study further, but in vacation, I want to work for 2 months at the bank. And we were like, you are only 14 years old. What work are you going to do? And she said, any work I will do. Give me. And don't give me money. After 2 months, you give me bicycle to go to school. So that if I get bicycle, she said, I want to go to high school. There's no bus facility. And if I don't get bicycle, my parents will drop me out of the school. So if I get bicycle, I will be able to continue my high school. I felt it's such a simple solution. Why can't we do that? So we started giving loans for bicycle. Fortunately, it happened that with foundation, we got so many generous people who said, we will donate bicycles. We will give you donation to buy bicycles for girls to go to school. I'm so proud to share with you that now we have 14,000 bicycles. 14,000 girls have got the bicycles to go to school. But all these kids, bicycle or rearing sheep and goat, they're very strong. So these girls not only got the bicycle, but they started getting into became a good athlete. And we saw that, they were really good in sports, some of the girls. So then we thought that we should do something. Because it is, of course, they will study, they want to get jobs, those things are there. But they are sweating for so much hard work. They sweat for rearing sheep and goat. Why not? They should sweat for playing, right? Playing. So then we started the sports program. We have a ground. We started a sports academy, which has a 400-meter ground. Now it's quite developed. And I'm proud to share with you that our stadium was inaugurated by Sachin Tendulkar. Came to Moscow. But the most stars were these kids, right? It was and I'm so proud to share with you that there are so many girls like Vaishnavi, Kajal. They got into sports, and Kajal, her parents are doing work of sugarcane cutting. She is playing field hockey and representing India in different countries. She went to Iceland and got a silver medal.
Wow. I'm blessed with, people around me are such that I'm learning so much, and we have been able to start sports academy, health center, bank, Deshi MBA school, and now Sheti Shalas for farmers, labs for farmers, water testing and all that. Wow. Such an amazing. What I also hear you say is that you have been very, very responsive to what you have heard from the customers or from the people that you work with. And secondly, what you're also saying is that we learn from them rather than imposing our method on them. Also, for all of this, you've also mentioned that there are a lot of philanthropists, there are a lot of government funds. So how do you attract that? How have you been able to get so many people to come and support you in this particular activity?
Support started, that journey was very interesting actually. Support started when we had a bicycle program, and somewhere it was bicycle program was published. Because I was in a very small location, never got... being from Mumbai, and those days, I'm talking about 2005-06, you don't go to, there were no CSR, you don't know how people are supporting and all that.
Correct.
But when somewhere 2 things came in the news. One was about our business school, where it came that, there was some competition of business school, and we just thought why don't we apply for that competition? It was by MIT. Harvard.
Okay.
And we applied and we said this business school is like business school for rural women and all. So then they, of course, we didn't get award for that, but they felt that we should give a special recognition to this business school. And with that, the big news came. Then the another news came was about this bicycle for girls. When it came in an English newspaper, lot of funders. I mean, first, of course, was HSBC to come forward, and they said, we want to visit you and see what you are doing. That's how actually the whole thing started. And then I realized, oh, you have a funders also, you have to go. I was not, because it had actually, Niharika, it had become like that. I mean, I was quite content in a way. Like having such an interesting life, learning so much and all that.
Correct.
But then we said, okay, we can apply for the funding and all that. So we started. So we have got, so that was one, like, financial support. But then at the same time, we were also requiring the talent support. See, for example, digitization started happening. And before digitization, actually, we were the first. I mean, I'll tell you another experience of us, that when we were having our women to save and have a passbook, and as I mentioned, they were talking about control on finance, right? So many women would keep their passbook in the bank. They would say, we want to take home, because they will be able to see. So then we said, but we cannot keep it here. You also should not disclose your saving to us. So then she was like, okay then, but they were telling, no, we cannot do that. So then we thought, okay, let us find some solution. Then we thought, why can't we have smart passports? At that time, digital banking had not started in India. 2007 was not started. Coincidentally, I was invited in Harvard and I was invited in MIT. So I talked about this whole smart passbook. And then we will send one of us student from Tufts School, and he will work with you, and we'll out. And then we worked out the solution of smart passbook with the POS which can read the passbook. So it would have a chip and you can swipe it, and then you swipe it and then you read and enter the data and everything. So when we did that, and we were working with women, so they said, yeah, this is what we want. We can take the card home, nobody will be able to see. When digitization came, women were actually prepared for that, because we were doing the smart passport. And then when we said, now we'll start a digital banking also, so you will have a card, will do digital banking. So when we started that, because women always we will ask, will this work for you? Will this work for you? We will have a PIN number, and you can we will have our own ATMs also. So you can withdraw your money. And they said, yeah, everything is right, but PIN number, and they were just questioning. So we said, we'll do financial literacy. We'll help you to remember PIN number. They said, no, find some other solution. We said, yeah, but and they said, what about Angutha? So we said, okay, they are talking about biometric. So we said, okay, let's try to get, so we need that talent from outside. And if you tell suppliers that, service providers that, and they would say it's very difficult, but our women were like, no, we want it. So then we got biometric. Now when our women use the biometric, and then when they withdraw the money, you know what they said? They said, "Baby chura lega. Lekin mera angutha koi nahi katega na. Anybody can steal my PIN number, but nobody can take my thumb." That was the time, Niharika, I realized that, we have to learn one thing. Never give poor solutions to poor people.
Correct.
Think smart. They are smart. And listen to them. Now too, they want voice SMS also, which now you have voice SMS that this much amount is balance and this much is. So again, that support of talent is required. And it's not only support of talent, right? Industry also learn from you.
Yes.
You are first to have that thing. You are first to have that voice note coming. So then the industry also knows that, okay, these things should be provided. So that's how this whole support we created in this. And then it was also very interesting that I love to share these stories, right?
Yes.
There is so much of wisdom here. It became my thing is that whenever I'm invited anywhere, I would go and talk to our women, talk to them that, I have to speak there. What do you all think? Because it became sort of my guide in a way.
Correct.
So even now, and I tell everyone that I'm so blessed with it.
Sure.
So when I was co-chairing Davos at World Economic Forum in 2018,
Okay.
I got the message that we would like you to be one of the co-chair for this year's Davos, World Economic Forum at Davos. So I was like, okay. And who were the other co-chairs were like Christine Lagarde, Ellen Solberg, who was a president of Norway. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be like only person from Global South sitting with these women. Christine Lagarde was at, I think, IMF. So then I went to our women before going to World Economic Forum at Davos. But okay, I will be co-chairing, designing the agenda and all that. What should I go and talk there? Women were like, and I told them that people, they talk there about billions and trillions of capital. And so our women, they kept on listening to me and they said, go and tell them, no, they must be talking about billions and trillions. But for us, our courage is the capital. I felt like they had such a clear answer.
Correct.
And it is not easy to be courageous, no? It is easy to get capital. You do like maybe, but to be courageous, it requires a lot of, like, so much internal thing. So then I told our women that, you know what, you said that, tell them our courage is the capital, but I am feeling that your courage has become my capital.
My capital.
I became courageous because of you.
Correct.
I always tell Niharika that, it's a blessing to be with women that who have been able to make me courageous.
So, very, very, very interesting. It has been so powerful. So by now, you have, financially, completely. How does your financial model work?
Yeah. So at the institutional level, bank is with no outside support. It is the first rural development bank, member capital, member savings, member credit, even the customer credit and customer savings. So bank does not get any funding and all. And we have a mixed business of around 400 crores.
Okay.
Foundation is supported by grant, by philanthropic money, and by CSR. Now because we have CSR, right? CSR came later. So business school, chamber of commerce, agriculture center, sports academy, all these programs are run and managed and supported by foundation. And the bank is on its own. So the whole team which is operating with the bank, they are employee of the bank, they get salary from the bank, and bank is profitable. And bank also, like every alternate year, we give dividend, or sometimes like our women would say, like, we don't want money, but, give a member something which can be used in agriculture. From the crop, some 35% we can use for that as what are the regulatory requirements to follow that. So that is how it operates. Personally, I have because of my travel and everything. Now I have been come to that stage that I can, where I go and speak, and then I do give my speaking fees so that I can survive on my own in that way.
Very nice.
That's how this is all.
Wonderful. Also, so, in any organization, and you also run an organization in that sense, there are always issues of attracting people, retaining people, motivating people, and then just having them perform on a day-to-day basis. Anything that you do that is special or that we can learn from in your work on that?
First of all, I would say that, other things, that is the most challenging part, right? To get the people are very important, number one. And these people are going to work for people.
Correct.
Number two, right? And with us is that we are not in metro cities. So no Mumbai, nothing so then how do you get the talent?
Correct.
That has always been a challenge. So
Sure.
initially, 10 years we did it, we had the local talent only. We trained them and we trained them directly with Reserve Bank of India. They had that agriculture banking institution with the bank. And with the foundation, we now also have totally local only. Bank also is local. But we train them. With women, a major issue is that one is if you hire them very young, they get married. Then
Sure.
they go to their in-laws' place or whatever.
Yes.
Then they leave.
Correct.
those challenges are there. But one thing about, I have always learned one thing, that the whole working culture has to be that it should be a joyful experience. Right? Like the way I'm saying that, I don't feel like leaving our women. I feel like, being with them, talking to them, get the wisdom. And if that joyful experience, and you have to continuously work from it, because
Yes.
if you're working together with the people, and it is a joyful experience, so then it has happened with our institution that many young women who came, who worked, they were not married, but they decided that while deciding where to marry, they also decided we will marry in those geographies where foundation is there or bank is there.
Okay.
That was one which I felt very interesting, which I saw. Or many times it also would happen, and I would say, Niharika, that many times they got considerate husband, you build a brand which makes you proud, and then the husbands would say okay, you work from there, I will shift where, Having said that, another challenge we face is that when their children grow and then the education comes, then they want to go to big place and all.
Sure.
So we have that challenge of, all this, but with women, and it is not only with our staff, even with women, those who are women entrepreneurs, what happens with women also that they go in, men are always network. Wherever they are grown, they have friends, they know everything and all. In women, they marry and go to different place.
Correct.
After that, they build their networks. So the men are building the network from childhood, but women are building the network after marriage.
Marriage, yeah.
So they lose so many years.
So correct. So correct.
So with the entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, we tell them that, okay, remember, apne maike ke network important.
Correct. Yeah.
It's very interesting. We saw those dynamics with women, that, women, so every woman is a migrant, have to migrate. We talk about migrate and all.
Yeah.
Including me. So these challenges are also there, but it is you have to find in those challenges some aspect which is at your heart. Consider Mandeshi, your Maika. Your Maika is, and be in touch with them. Make a bridge in your Maika. Mandeshi is there to build the bridge between you. So that way, we do address.
Sure. How is most of your workforce women, or all women, or how is it?
Actually, it used to be all women.
Okay.
But now we also felt, and we were questioned also about diversity later on. But we were saying we don't mind. We are all women. Now we have around in foundation it is less than 5% men. In bank it must be say around 8-9% of men also.
Okay, so they are really the minority.
Our leadership positions are for women.
For women only.
Then there is not much motivation also for men.
Correct.
But in tech department, in bank we have. But we will never have a manager of the branch.
Of course.
Recovery officers, audit officers. The so-called power positions are never given to men.
And that is because you think the women will be more empathetic to other women, right? Because you are serving them as customers.
Mission is there.
Mission is there.
Is number one. And second is that I also feel that they will bring the different aspect into it. It can be empathetic, it can be something very differently understanding, something can be in that way.
Very nice. Also, one thing, now turning a little bit towards you, we know that you have, my question is, how have you been learning so much, right? So one is, of course, your women you're saying are very courageous, they help you. But who are your mentors, and how do you keep in touch with your network of other social enterprise leaders or any leaders? So how do you do it?
So what happened with me is that it was the very drastic decision to leave Mumbai.
Yes.
Shift to Muscat, and it is from Mumbai we are 7 hours.
Okay.
A different life. We were not getting any English newspaper. I couldn't read Marathi at all. So like to remain in touch with the world also. I remember I had Shekhar Gupta was editor of the Indian Express at that time. I wrote a letter to him that, we are not getting, there are people who can read English in the pages also. It's not that, and we are not getting. I wrote a letter to the editor of Business India saying that why can't I get it? Send it by post. I am okay with the late edition also. So there was so much of I was so far from that mainstream world.
Correct.
In that way. And it was interesting. On one side, that happened. On other side, I started meeting these women whose value system or thinking was not coming from the books, but was coming from this whole environment, right?
Yes.
Like this women who said that, so it was, I'll tell you how do I get, so when we were running a cattle camp, and because there was no rain, cattle camp started continued for nearly 18 months. So at cattle camp, we had a flag hoisting. Now, and so on the 15th August, when we were having flag hoisting, when our flag hoisting was over, then we had mithai and everything. One woman came forward and she said, I am so happy today. And I was like, yeah, but what makes you? I mean, we did 15th August flag hoisting. She said, see, I've never been to the school. I never had done this salam to Bharat Ka Jhanda. In my life, I've done first time I've chanted Jana Gana Mana. I've saluted the flag. So I felt that, this whole thing of nationality, these things, what we have learned from the books. And then now what I'm listening from these communities, it is so enriching.
Correct.
And it is so deep.
Yes.
That nationality is so deep compared to the nationalism which I'm listening to. Right? That way. So I felt, and so sort of my life, I've started feeling that I'm quite contented here. That, I'm getting so much to learn from these women. And I started, and even now, I'm a greedy sort of, get these lessons from them or to hear these things. And my mother-in-law. So my mother-in-law, when I shifted here, we had a mud house, then we constructed, it was very different setup and all. But she was always very strong, independent lady. And I was never wearing Mangal Sutra. I would never have anything like those symbols. And she was coming from a very traditional family. But she got widowed at a very young age. She would say, you should do this. And I would ask her, okay, you people have snatched everything from you when you got widowed. You justify that. And then she would say, whatever you are saying is right, but you know what? These are the rituals. But that whole and she would be very sometimes she would tell me, anything. When in 2002, I went to Yale for 1 year and I came back. And I always know that, she would be very skeptical if I bring something from big city and all that. So we had never had cheese before. Animals and everything. So then when I got it, so then you said, so you have brought this plastic from US. And I was just, to listen, these reflections are so interesting. It's not that US has plastic, but what I'm trying to say is that they would think that bring some wisdom from somewhere, no?
Correct. Yeah.
Don't bring these things. She would be very what have you brought? What is it? So this whole feeling of, what am I enjoying with? That whole thing came from these women like Kira Bai. I should share this story of her being the radio jockey who came to the bank, mortgaged the gold for animals and all. And when we started cattle camps, she started singing to give hopes to the farmers that we'll get training and all. And she would have amazing poems. She had not gone to the school. Then she said she became very popular there. So she said, I will feature my program on radio also. I read and write. So how would you do? We have to be in this much time. You have to do it. And she said, I will do it. And they said, I don't read and write, but I make my poem here. And then she started giving her program and she became very famous. And then she became like radio jockey Kerabai. So her various radios invite her to come to the radio. And she has some old wisdom songs also, her own. So then Rakesh Anand Bakshi, son of Anand Bakshi, he was doing a book on radio jockey. So he called us, I want to interview your radio jockey, Kerabai. He had no idea, but when he saw Kerabai, like, and I will also share a picture of her. So he said he was doing her interview that how did you learn to sing? So she said, you know what? I got married because I was like sixth daughter. I got married at the age of 13. My name is Kera, which means Kachra. People just wanted me to out of the house. And at the age of 14, I became pregnant and I was continuously hungry. So forget hunger, I started singing. Now, if you see this talent, how it comes from the village, so different, right?
Correct.
And she became such a famous singer. So then I felt like this is all which keeps you. So for my life, and then with all this, when I had my children, I didn't feel like sending them to Mumbai to the school. I felt no, they will learn here only because outside school there is so much to do here, right? Otherwise they will be in Bombay where I studied. They will go to English medium school, but then here they will climb on the tree. They will swim in the lakes. They will be able to see like so many different ecosystem, animals, everything. We have very like hyenas and all that. Used to have more. So my children also, I have eldest son and then twins. They studied here. Till 10th. Then they went for high school to big cities. Of course, and they studied in Marathi medium. So I also want to like say to young population that it's not that, they miss anything. They tell me that we are so happy, mom, you didn't put us in Mumbai in English medium school, going for tuitions, going for this, going for that. So, and now, all three of them were in Ivy Leagues. Like,
very nice.
They did their graduation from Georgetown, George Washington, London School of Music. It was very different. So I feel that many times we miss that which is available around you, and there is so much of wisdom. Not only just wisdom, I feel whole satisfaction of, and how do you see your environment? It's not only human life; it's animal life, trees. Everything speaks. Everything speaks, and you get that experience of listening to birds, into animals, listening to your ecosystem, which makes you so enriching.
Of course. So, sort of coming to, closing the conversation, 2 or 3 important questions that I think I still want to ask you. One is, what does succession at Mandeshi Foundation look like? While I really wish you a very long and a very intended life as you are doing this, but I think important, so how we plan for the next and so that it continues. So how is Mandeshi Foundation working on?
So I'll tell you two, right? Succession of bank and succession of foundation.
Okay.
I think succession of bank is very challenging because our bank headquarters is in Maswar.
Correct.
But bank has a CEO, as a board, and it is a cooperative bank, so every 5 years board changes.
Okay.
But we need a bankers to sit in Maswar and do.
Right.
Now, whoever in the bank we have, like who have worked for 20 years and all, we are preparing the next CEO also. So CEO will take over maybe in 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
And so we have created those pillars like, chief audit officers, chief financial officers, chief investment officers, deputy CEOs and all that.
Okay.
And also not only in that succession in the operation side, but succession in the board side also is equally important.
Right.
There I am doing like a little bit of hybrid. I would say hybrid. I don't like that word of hybrid, but yeah. Then we have a community leaders as a board member also. And there are some people in Mumbai who are very passionate. They really like idea. They will not be able to stay in Maswat, but they would like to be on the board.
Sure.
So we are getting some who was before in HSBC, but now she's becoming a board member of Mandeshi.
Okay.
So we are looking for such people also to be on the board.
Sure.
So that is plan of the succession.
Right.
So then I'm prepared for,
Sure.
if my exit plan is ready. With the foundation, in a way, it is easy. It's not that difficult. because I have my team who is working with last now 20, 25 years, and they have come where they can run and manage it. One challenge is there, and I should very now candidly, frankly share with you. It's very difficult for me to get people in working who stay in these small villages or big villages or small towns. It's very difficult. So in foundation now we also, I requested my son also that, if and at least you can join me. So that one of my son has joined, and then we had one intern who came from Mumbai, and she has decided that I will stay here only. And so we have a very strong intern program where we get interns from Mumbai. So that out of that, some of them continue.
And these interns come from all the best colleges of Bombay or
St. Xavier's institution.
Okay.
And we get, because me being a Yale alumni, Yale, Harvard, John Hopkins, George Washington. My children are from there. But those interns are not going to stay. They come for that. But yeah.
We also get that. Okay, great. Also, if you were to look at sort of go back and look about what are the two things that you think you've done really well, and one or two things that you in retrospect would like to do differently?
So what are the two things I've done really well? Yes. So one, I do think that sitting here in Maswat and bringing an institution like bank, like radio, and that whole thing came in with me was that this is a drought-prone area. This is a shepherd community area, but it has a very rich culture. And we had good writers who had written about it in Marathi, Venkatesh Madgurkar. They were known for it. So I felt that this area's identity should not be just drought.
Correct.
It has to be something very different. So this is like Mandeshi has become the identity of this area.
Right.
One thing has happened that, and I would say because of our women, they came with so much pride that today from Mandesh, everyone who goes out in Mumbai, and they say that we are from Mandesh, and they would say from that place where this bank was started or the radio is operating. So that landing of Mandesh changing from drought to a rich culture, I think is a very
nice.
And regarding what I would have done differently, I would say, Niharika, there are a lot of things which I would have done differently. Still feel that that lady who came very courageously saying that my husband has ran away and we want to start debt counseling. Still, we have not done it. We should have focused on that at that time immediately. But that whole fear of NPA and all that. And the another thing which I think we would have done differently is now we are doing is that we had one lady, Napusa. Her name was Napusa. Now, Napusa means unwanted.
Correct.
She took a loan from the bank and then she wanted to buy a property paper. She bought the property paper. She had her name on the property paper and she became very proud of that. But I've still been in the bank. We have designed the product of ownership of property for women, but we have not been able to really crack it. We do have a product actually.
Correct.
If you buy a property in your name, you get a subsidy in the interest. Your interest rate is reduced. But in spite of having this, I feel sort of a movement for ownership of the property of
women.
I do think I would have, which actually before setting up the bank, when I was in Bodh Gaya, we did it. So that actually is always in my...
Maybe you will find a solution to that. Yeah. I think you will. All right. So as we close, I'm sure there are lots of different age groups that are listening to this podcast. But for a young person, perhaps a finance graduate or a management student or someone who wants to work in rural development or women's entrepreneurship or financial inclusion, what are 2 or 3 things that they should keep in mind?
So one thing I would tell particularly young person that, you will always have a great ideas. When you are with people, with communities, you will get a great ideas. bias. And many people will tell you that this will not work. Believe in you, it can work. Because I do remember that when we were setting up the bank, I was telling people in Mumbai, everyone said like, are you crazy? What are you doing? But when I think village women were like, of course we can do it. So you know that. So listen to your heart, what your heart is. If you think I want to do it, yes,
Just do it.
right. We would say that to the young people. And the other one I would say to young people is that find, if you are interested in when you mentioned about the rural development, keep in mind that knowledge is not only with you. There is lot of knowledge sitting there in the villages, which we have not yet bothered to understand. Keep that in mind and try to have a terms with them as an equal. They may come, they will share with you. You will be to listen to them. Judgments. Listen to them. Their knowledge may be much ahead than us.
Of course.
I have seen it is ahead than us.
Of course.
And it would be great, because lot of young people, I do feel that young people do not have biases. They are so good at technology. So these native intelligence and artificial intelligence together can create wonders.
Great. Amazing. Thank you so much. I think you have yourself so much wisdom. The three words that I'll hear you say again and again is listen, learn, and respect other people. And that's where things will come from. So really good, really amazing having this conversation with you. I wish we had more time and we could go on and listen to all your stories, but thank you so much for the time and the generosity with which you have shared your experiences. And we just wish you all the best, and every woman that you're touching, our wishes to them as well. Thank you.